You good? Good evening. My name's Steve Kaufman. I'm a fire captain with the Ventura County Fire Department, and I'm the Public Information Officer for CAL FIRE Incident Management Team 4. This is going to be the press conference for November 9th, 2018, 18:01 hours. I'm going to start out with the most current numbers. Our current acreage is 90,000 acres at 5% contained. We're reporting 3 firefighter injuries. Total firefighters assigned to the fire right now is 3223. We estimate that there's 1,385 people in shelter, and estimate that 52,000 people have been evacuated from the fire. Our current residential structures destroyed are 6,453. 6453. Our current commercial structures that are destroyed are 260. Puts us at a total of 6,713 structures destroyed from the fire.
Good evening, Josh Bischoff, Battalion Chief for CAL FIRE in the Riverside Unit, and I'm the Operations Section Chief for Team 4. Starting with the operational update for today, in the Polga area where the origin is, working down the 70 corridor, we were able to hold the fire all the way down along the 70 corridor to Poe. In the area of Poe, we did have a slop over the Feather River drainage. It ran up to the ridge, across the Feather Ridge drainage, and is currently holding at about 1,000 to 1,200 acres. It is holding along the ridge, and we have not seen much progression on that. Working back down to Lake Orville area, the fire has been holding along the 70 corridor. We had a lot of work done along the 99, and we were able to open up Highway 99 tonight along the corridor. From 99 working back into Old Humboldt Road, we were able to run dozers and get some good direct hand line in there. And from Old Humboldt back up to the 32, we had a lot of success with dozers and able to put a small line for the area of Chico and some protection from the fire's edge to the area of Chico. Up the Highway 32, as we get to Wilder Canyon and Wilder Road, it was some very steep, inaccessible terrain. We've been working on coming up with plans and options to try and work from there up into Magalia. Earlier this morning, we had some active firefighting in the area of Magalia, and including structure defense. This afternoon, from Magalia Reservoir, the ridges above Magalia Reservoir, we did get some good air, and we're able to use fixed-wing aircraft to run retardant along the ridge lines from Magalia, working back down towards the origin of Polga. One of the emphases for today was on rescue. We had numerous rescues today. While actively engaged in firefighting in the Big Bend area, we had to use helicopters to rescue 5 people who were trapped down there. In the area of Magelda, when we were doing structure defense, we also had to assist people to areas of safety. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Alex Hoon. I'm a senior meteorologist with the National Weather Service in Reno, Nevada, and I'm serving as the incident meteorologist for CAL FIRE Team 4 here on the campfire. So I just wanted to give a little background on the wind event that occurred yesterday, Thursday and Thursday night. We were seeing some very extreme winds with this when this fire began. It pushed the fire into areas around the Paradise area and through the foothills, and these winds were gusting up to 40, 50 miles an hour as the winds pushed the fire. We saw very dry conditions with humidities down into the single digits. What we're seeing as we go into tonight and into tomorrow, we're actually seeing a very good opportunity with very favorable weather, much lighter winds, still very, very dry conditions out there. But as we move into Saturday night, we have a red flag warning in effect. What a red flag warning means is that it's critical fire weather conditions. It's very hot or very warm and dry conditions, very windy conditions that are expected to increase Saturday night and going through Sunday morning. We're expecting to see wind gusts of 30 miles per hour widespread over the fire area as we go into Saturday night and Sunday morning, with some areas actually seeing wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour in some of those favored drainages, especially around the Feather River drainage as well. So extreme winds, critical fire weather conditions continue. That red flag warning, in fact, does go through Monday morning. We are expecting a little bit of a lull in the winds during Sunday afternoon, but then Sunday night and into Monday morning, we are going to see an increase of winds once again as we get into Monday morning, and then experiencing very, very dry conditions even during the overnight periods as well. And so these critical conditions will be a challenge for sure. Thank you, guys.
My name is Tim Chavez. I'm a battalion chief in the Riverside unit, and I serve on California Incident Management Team 4 as a fire behavior analyst. My job is to consider the fuels, the weather, and the topography affecting the fire, and to devise the operations section so that we can take tactics that are effective and safe. This fire is unique to be this late in Northern California. Normally, climatologically, we would expect to have had a sequence of storms delivering rainfall to the area by now. However, that rain has not come. We had a little shot of rain earlier in the month, but it wasn't sufficient to dampen down the fire behavior. When the north winds came, the last couple of sequences of north winds dried the fuels back out to what we would expect to be midsummer type conditions. So it kind of lined up perfectly to have the large 90,000 plus acre fire run that we had yesterday. Every day that goes by is putting us one day further from the springtime, green up that occurred after the winter. So the fuels will just continue to get drier and drier and drier until we do finally get a season-ending rainfall event. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Todd Durham. I'm a division chief for CAL FIRE in Sonoma County, and I serve as the incident commander for CAL FIRE Team 4. And more specifically for this incident, I'm a unified commander along with my partners from the Butte County Sheriff's Office and the Paradise Police Department. What CAL FIRE teams do, they're made up of 50 or more people, multidisciplinary, many CAL FIRE employees, local fire, state, and local law enforcement. So it's multidisciplinary. We come to communities when they request in their time of needs, and we come and serve as simply a force multiplier. We come to embed and expand the local capacity to best serve the community. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Corey Honey, and I'm the Sheriff Coroner of Butte County. I want to begin my comments with this. We're dealing with a very dynamic situation that is rapidly evolving. We are doing our best to get information to you in a timely manner, but I would ask that you please be patient with us and understand that what I tell you today may change or may have to be modified as we gather more information. I want to start off and tell you a little bit about our law enforcement mission. We have mutual aid law enforcement from throughout Northern California. Those law enforcement officers have come to assist our local law enforcement officers with evacuations, as well as maintaining the security within those areas that have been evacuated. In addition to that, we made a request for the California National Guard to come in and assist us with that mission. So members of my community may see members of the National Guard perhaps on traffic control points or working alongside our law enforcement personnel. It is, as the chief said, a force multiplier. We have had the opportunity to lift a number of evacuation warnings and some orders, and so I want to talk about that for a moment. We have lifted the evacuation warning for residents living west of Highway 99 from Highway 149 north to the Chico city limits and west to the Midway. In addition, we have lifted the evacuation order for residents living on Oro Chico Highway from Estates Drive to Durham Dayton Road. You can follow our social media pages for updates on that. We try to keep that continually updated. I do want to make one comment about that. The county has suffered some infrastructure damage. That has created some problems with our internal email system as well as our access to internet. We're working diligently to get that repaired so that we can continue to update you in a timely manner, but that has been a difficulty that we have been facing. We have, at this point, in keeping with our law enforcement mission, my office at this point has received 2 calls of reported or suspected looting. We have had law enforcement officers respond to those calls. Those would be up in the Magalia, Paradise area from what I understand, but we have not actually located anyone looting at this point, so there's been no arrests made. But I want to emphasize this point. As this goes on and more people find ways to get into those evacuated areas, if you think you're going to come in here and take advantage of these poor people who've been displaced from their homes and steal from them, law enforcement is going to do everything we can to capture you. And when we do, I have the assurances of the district attorney that you will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. It is despicable conduct, and we need to make sure that we do everything that we can to prevent that. My office to date has received about 588 calls from people needing or requesting assistance in evacuating. And we have been working diligently through the course of that today. I know that staff was up in the Magalia area contacting people who were to shelter in place and working with our partners in the transit system to shuttle those people down to the Chico area. The other very unfortunate aspect of my comments today involves an update on the casualties. And unfortunately, it is my sad duty to report that we now can confirm a total of 9 fatalities, 4 additional from the ones that I talked about yesterday. I don't have all of the details because we've had investigators out in the field attempting to get to those locations where those suspected casualties were. What I can tell you, starting yesterday, we had those 4 individuals were found in their vehicles, and they were in the Paradise area. We found another individual near those vehicles today. He was outside, or I'm sorry, that person was outside the vehicle. I can't confirm the gender of that person at this point. In addition to that, at other locations within Paradise, we found 3 individuals outside of residences. We don't know if they're their residents or not. We still have to work to identify those individuals and then ultimately notify the next of kin. And we have found 1 individual who apparently was inside the residence. I know that that is not a lot of information. I certainly understand that there are people in our community who are aching to know what has come of their friends and family members. That is why I'm telling you what I know now, but you understand that this can be a long process in terms of identifying people and then making the notifications of the next of kin. So I'm trying to balance getting information out to you with not giving you information that I can't confirm. Okay? As I told you yesterday, this was a devastating fire, and if you've been up in the area, you absolutely know that. You know how quickly it came through the Paradise area. And so I fear that it will be a continual duty of mine to come in and update these figures. My hope is that's not the case, but I think we have to be prepared for that. Thank you.
We'd like to open the floor for questions now. As you pose the question, I will repeat the question, and then the discipline that'll talk to the question will come up and talk to give you the answer.
We're getting a lot of questions about Magalia and how bad the fire is in Magalia and how much damage is done. We haven't heard a lot on Magalia. Can someone speak to what's going on in Magalia and what the status is of that community?
So the question is, what's the status of the Magalia community, and what's the fire doing in that area?
We have been actively fighting fire in the Magalia community today. There are portions of it where the fire has progressed into the community. There are also portions that the fire has not reached yet.
So I've just been informed the superintendent of schools has an announcement about school closures.
Good evening. I'm Mary Sakuma, and I'm the Deputy Superintendent of Butte County Office of Education. On behalf of the County Office of Education, our hearts go out to all the children, families, and staff. The safety of the students and the school personnel is our first priority. The County Superintendent has closed all schools through November 23rd. We're working closely with State Superintendent Tom Torlakson, Shasta and Sonoma County Office of Education Superintendents, preparing for difficult weeks and months ahead. All 14 districts and charter schools are working together to help the families of Paradise, Concow, Magalia, and other areas. The county office has set up a Butte County Schools Relief Fund. Please check our website for further information. Thank you.
Questions? Sir.
Yes. Yesterday, people were talking about Paradise being completely destroyed. Those of us that visited saw that there were still some businesses standing, and places are obviously still intact. I mean, have you changed your perception of the damage out there to reflect maybe some of what you've been able to see about what remains standing and what's been destroyed? Do you still consider this a total loss?
The question is the perception of the damage in Paradise.
There was significant damage in the town of Paradise. There are areas that are still, that a lot of work was done. There was some structure defense. There's areas that, temporary refuge areas where people were brought into that are still fine. But there is some significant damage within the area of Paradise.
Tell us about the status, you may have already mentioned this, sorry, the status of people still missing and how you're going about trying to find them, and maybe is there a way that they can coordinate people who are looking for missing loved ones, to coordinate to try and locate them or hook up?
So the status of people that are missing, how families can be reunited, if there's a phone number set up, stuff like that.
Thank you for that question. So this is a big job for us. As you might imagine, a lot of people have been displaced and separated from loved ones. And so first off, we would ask that people make every effort on their own to make contact with their loved ones through family members, text messaging, social media, things of that nature. If they are not able to do that, we would ask not only for the people who've been displaced or evacuated to log on to the website, Safe and Well website, so that they can be accounted for, and that friends and family check that website first. If you're unable to locate them after that, and you want to make a missing person report, we would encourage you to do that. You can call the Butte County Sheriff's Office at area code 530-538-7322. And that is to make missing persons reports. If you have questions about fire, we would ask that you call the fire-related line. But if you have a situation where you know where someone is and they are in immediate danger or peril, that would be the appropriate time to use 911. So we're still gathering that information. Today we began a very concerted effort of trying to identify who is actually missing and who may just be separated and not yet been able to make contact with everybody. As I understand, as of today, we have 35 reports of missing people. So we've taken 35 missing person cases today. I would anticipate that that would increase as the day goes on and as this event goes on.
I know it's still early, but what do you know about the cause of this fire and just reports that PG&E damage transmission tower replacements?
So the cause is still under investigation.
Anything about PG&E? They're having an initial investigation into damaged tower.
Now, normally, as long as our investigators are under the investigation mode and it's an active investigation, we don't release any information pertaining to the investigation whatsoever. We're still currently investigating the cause. Any other questions? Sir.
So, of course, everybody is still fresh with the stress of this experience out there. But there are people that say that they weren't contacted early enough to get out, and they had trouble evacuating on time. I just want to know what the response would be to that remark. And, is there any evidence of maybe a call not going on?
So that might be for the sheriff. So the question is, there's questions about people possibly not being contacted in time, and if the sheriff could respond to that.
Thank you for the question. It's a good question. We appreciate that. So first off, I want to tell you a little bit about the fact that this event was the worst case scenario. It's the event that we have feared for a long time. And over the course of the years, we have worked hard to develop a plan to evacuate people in this event. That said, you need to understand that factors can exist that make even the best plans not perfect or not the exact outcome that you want. And in this case, we had a fire that was moving very, very rapidly, being pushed by some very, very strong winds. As soon as it became apparent that there were communities in danger, we started to issue those evacuation orders, and we did it through the mechanisms that we have available, but we couldn't do it with everything we had available, such as door-to-door notifications, because of how fast it went. Now you have to understand that no one system for notifying people is perfect, but we do the absolute best that we ultimately can. What I can tell you is that we got that information out there as soon as we possibly could, and then we had the very, very challenging task of moving tens of thousands of people out of an area in a situation where the fire was coming very, very quickly. And I think that this is unfortunately reminiscent of other fires that we have experienced here in California. We have a situation here where we haven't had rain in many, many months. The fuel load is heavy, it is very dry, we had heavy winds, the fire started moving quickly, and we were able to save tens of thousands of people and get them notified. But regrettably, and I say that with the utmost earnest intentions, regrettably not everybody made it out. And that, I think, goes to how extraordinary this situation was. And also, despite our best warnings, oftentimes, despite our best efforts to get people to be prepared and to move when we tell, oftentimes people don't avail themselves of that advice, or they don't follow those directions, and as a result, we see the situation that we have here today.
Sir.
Is there an estimated time of containment of the fire, and is there a time when people might be expected to be able to return to their homes and see what's left?
So the question is there an estimated time of containment of the fire? And right now we do not have an estimated time of containment on the fire. And the next question was when we think people will be able to repopulate. And that right now we still are in the rescue mode. And until we move out of the rescue mode and start actual damage assessment and have the community safe for our citizens to enter back into the community, we're not going to be able to make that judgment. So I can't even speculate on a date at this point. I apologize.
Are the 9 fatalities in Butte County?
Yes.
So the question is, are the 9 fatalities in Butte County?
Like you're not giving us figures on fatalities outside of Butte County?
No, I'm not. But understand that the 9 fatalities that I'm talking about, we believe are related to this fire. There have been other deaths in Butte County during this period of time, but they are not related to it. So I want to make sure you understand that.
Can you talk about how many firefighters were injured so far, and maybe moving forward, what cities or locations are you trying to focus on where fire may be headed to fire to prevent those people properly?
So the question is where we anticipate the fire is going to be moving from here on forward.
Currently, our focus for the active firefighting is in Magalia. There are areas north of that we also have under mandatory evacuation. That anywhere under mandatory evacuation is where we consider it a threat to move towards.
How many firefighters?
The other question was how many firefighters were injured, and we're reporting 3 firefighter injuries.
Do you have any details on those injuries?
I do not have any specific details on the firefighter injuries.
Last night there was an order to, I think, caution for the east 20th Street Chico area. Has that been lifted, or what is the prospect of the fire coming into the Chico area?
So I'll let my counterpart talk about the prospect of the fire and its fire behavior. That's not my expertise. But that would have been issued by the city of Chico. My understanding is that order has been lifted. The orders with regard to the city of Chico have been lifted. If I'm incorrect, we'll correct that information through our social media pages.
Any other questions? I'd just like to end it with a word from our incident commander. Prior to doing that, we will continue this press conference daily at this location at 18:01 hours until there's no longer a need for information on this fire.
Thanks, Steve. I just wanted to take just a moment to kind of summarize what was discussed here tonight. If you go back towards the beginning with our fire behavior specialists and our incident meteorologists, we're looking at a lull in the fire threat with the winds dying down a little bit. To answer, further explain some of your questions over here about where things are going, we're at a very pivotal moment. There's a lot of fire on the landscape. There's still a lot of structures that are burning, and there's some areas that we may not even had an opportunity to get into yet. So we're doing the best we can. We have more resources that are en route. We're going to try to take advantage of this moment during this lull to make the greatest amount of progress that we can. But we're very, very cautious, recognizing that the weather to come, the red flag warning for multiple days with those strong winds, can either do one, 2, or 3 things. One, kick this fire back up, start new fires, or a combination of both. So please understand, our desire is to continue to provide this information every night to validate your questions, and we appreciate you coming out tonight and looking forward to seeing you tomorrow night and into the future. Thank you.
All of us will be available immediately following this for any individual questions or interviews you might like to do. Thank you very much.